So the suggestion I offered for the children, maybe you can sing your way into rejoicing. It works, but I'm wondering if I could offer you something better. Because see, rejoice is one of those simple words. That's our theme for Advent. But you stop and think about it. Like I don't always feel like rejoicing, and we have to remind ourselves that there's pardon me. We have to realize there is a distinction between like happiness, which is sort of in the moment, I feel good, versus something like joy or rejoice, which seems to come out of something a lot deeper. It's like in us, and so we have this sense of we're being happy out of joy, if you will. So the happiness thing, that's not hard to manage. Let's go by. All right, pardon me. It's not hard to manage happiness to go buy yourself something for most of us. That'll make us happy for a little while anyway. But how do you do the rejoice thing? Well, let me offer you a really terrific suggestion. You and I can live in a consciousness, if you will, in a world of rejoicing if you and I would consciously, deliberately set out to bless other people. To bless you, bless someone else, and certainly it'd be nice if someone blessed us. But what does that mean? Well, blessing is a sort of a three-part endeavor on your part. You and I will bless another person if first we convey to them by word and by deed that we are glad they are there. Grandparents, you do this without even trying. The grandkids show up and you are just thrilled that they are there. And you convey that to them in all sorts of different ways. But that's the first step of blessing, is to be able to say to them in some way, verbally or by your actions, that I'm so pleased that you're here. I'm thrilled that you're alive and you're part of my life. The second part is to speak well of the person. That actually comes from the etymology of the word, to speak well of. And third, you need to be willing to give up some of yourself, some of your resources, whatever, to help the other person. Let me see if I can just give you one example of this that might put all that together, give you a picture of it. If you could picture, say, a college professor, an older guy, he's good. I mean, he's crazy good. They quit voting for Teacher of the Year because he was going to win it anyway. Why vote? Kids flocked to his classes. He did good research, things like that. Just a terrific guy. Now imagine that a young guy has been hired. As he's getting to the end of his career, the university's hired some young guy who's really good too, talented, already wrote a book, did some research, all that kind of stuff. What's the older guy do about this? He can, of course, look at the younger guy and perceive him as a threat. This guy's going to steal my popularity. They're going to start voting again for best teacher and he's going to win. His star's going to rise, mine's going to shine. He can get pretty, vindictive about that potentially. But imagine this. What happens if the older guy, when he meets the young guy for the first time, say at a faculty meeting, walks right up to him and shakes his hand and says, I am so pleased to meet you. I am so glad that you are here. I am so glad the university has hired you. You have all this talent. You're going to be so good for this university, and I have put my life into this institution, and now that it's time for me to sort of, end my career, I'm just so thrilled that someone of your talent is going to be able to take over. That is a blessing. Because the young guy now, he's been blessed in this very meaningful moment, and and he gets to work out of that. He doesn't have to run around, trying to figure out whether he's offending the old guy who won't leave. And this old guy, if he ends that conversation and by saying to him, and if there is anything you need, you just let me know. He's provided some resources for the young guy as he gets started. That is a blessing. And as I describe that, I don't know what you're thinking about, but a whole lot of you, myself included, you might think to yourself, that never happened to me. Maybe you were the young person in the office, whatever, and it was awful because the old people, they didn't bless you. They pretty much cursed you. They didn't want you to be there, and they didn't speak well of you, and they certainly did not help you. Or maybe in terms of family relationships, dads need to bless their kids, their sons especially, mothers need to bless their daughters. It does not happen very often. I don't think it's because they don't want to. I think like my own dad, for example, I don't think he didn't want to bless me. I just don't think he knew how to do it. And so as I look back on it, if I take lots of puzzle pieces and put it together, I can get a blessing out of that. But there was never that moment. And so much of, I think, what got said about me and the sort of quasi-blessings I got were all tied up with what I did and not with who I was. And so fathers have to be careful about that they're not blessing their son because he's got a 400 batting average. Or you bless the kids because, oh, you're so well behaved. For a parent to bless a child, it's got to be, I am so pleased that you are my son, my daughter. We got to speak well of them. We got to resource them, which is part of being a parent, I guess. So you have to start, if you start to get a sense of this, you can start to see maybe how this comes into rejoicing. Because if you and I bless other people, really sort of, I don't know, sort of not magical, but I guess an amazing kind of way, we will be blessed by that. We'll get to feel the same thing we would feel if someone would do that blessing for us. Because those of us who are older, our parents are gone. We can't get that blessing from our parents. And indeed, even if they're still alive, you can't make people bless you. And you can't really bless yourself. I mean, what are you going to do? Look in the mirror and go, you are terrific. And so the only option we have is to intentionally bless other people. Because as we do that, it sort of comes around, if you will, sort of pats us on the back. And you will start, if you will, an upward spiral. You bless them. The people you bless, they're coming out of this, they've got this kind of blessed consciousness, which means they can bless people. But again, you're blessing people, that blesses you, and things are just going to work up. And say, I hope you would appreciate how wonderful that would be, because most of us live in a world where it's going the other way. The vast majority, I would venture to say nearly all of you, anybody that watches news, you don't watch people blessing one another at all. You watch people cursing each other. Not bad language, but the opposite of blessing. You watch them speak ill of other people. You watch people basically say to the other person, I wish you were not here. Our country would be so much better if you and your like weren't here. And they're certainly not willing to help them. It's cursing, and people that curse live out of a cursed consciousness, and the people that they curse, that sort of gives them that same sort of sense, and it is this negative spiral. And a lot of us are just kind of caught in it. Because a lot of us, not only are we not being blessed ourselves, we don't actually even see this very often. And I'm suggesting to you, if you really want to learn to rejoice, Not in just a moment like I rejoice I got this nice present. If you want to learn to really rejoice, work out of a consciousness, if you will, of rejoicing. The way to do it is just start blessing other people. Very intentionally. Work at it. Learn to do it. You will put yourself on this upward spiral. And it may be helpful to you to turn off some TV occasionally, because no sense in watching or feeling like you're being cursed. Just go. Just bless other people and work your way up, so to speak. It is out of that you'll have this sense of yes, I can rejoice. And if you want the real challenge to this, Paul, in one of his letters, says, bless those who persecute you. Bless and do not curse them. So I think if you and I started by blessing friends, family, people that are relatively easy to do, that'll be terrific. That's going to be a good start. But I think if you want to get to the point where you are living this amazing, absolute life, you'll figure out how to bless your enemy. You'll figure out how to say to your enemy, someone who disagrees with you about something crazy important, you'll look at them and say, I am so glad you are here. And you won't call them names, and you won't twist everything they say to make it into the worst possible thing. You will speak well of them, and you will help them in some way. And if you and I get to the point where we can bless our family, bless our friends, and bless our enemies, oh my word, you will be in a position to rejoice in a way that you have never rejoiced before. It may sound to you like pie in the sky. I don't think it is. I think it can be done. I just don't think people try to do it. And I just wonder what would happen if you and I took a shot at it. What would it be like to live in a world, in our, just in our personal world, a world where we bless each other and rejoice?